Hi, good morning. How are you doing? And this morning I read the newspaper about the article that says a woman from Sri Lanka uh, who was under the application of refugee in Japan was dead inside the refugee camp in Japan, and she just repeatedly let her know that her body condition was really bad, and she repeatedly let her know that she really wanted to go to see a doctor, but the staff inside of the uh, refugee camp ignored her request, and she finally passed away inside of the refugee camp. And there are so many cases similar to this case inside of the refugee camp in Japan. So I think the human rights inside of the refugee camp in Japan is not really good. So I think that Japanese government really puts light on the human rights inside of the refugees. So I think the human rights consciousness uh, against the people under the application of refugee in Japan is really bad. So if you really want to come to Japan to go through the procedure of refugee application in Japan, you have to be really prepared that you are restricted and you are detained for a long time until the government is granted permission to stay in Japan for a certain period, right? So I think I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's inside the refugee camp in Japan, and I don't know much about the situation uh, inside of the refugee camp in Japan, even though I'm Japanese. But you know, I think a refugee camp in Japan is kind of jail, and it's pretty much the same as imprisonment. So if you come to Japan and ask for protection for the government and the immigration officer uh, to go through the procedure of application of refugee, you are detained. You are detained. You're going to be detained, and you can. You really must to stay in the refugee camp for a long time, for a long time, without any freedom, and you you're not really sure. You're not going to be sure that how many days, how many months you have to stay in there. So even though you're not really criminal, and you're not criminal, you have to accept the situation that you have to imprisoned inside for a long time without any freedom. So I don't recommend, if you really want to uh, become refugee in Japan, you have to go to another country.